Hey, friends, welcome back to the Big Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Tricia Brouk, and this is episode 686. All right, everybody, today's guest, Micki Weiner, is a sustainability practitioner and founder of Petal Ash, a circular lingerie brand. Their mission is to empower women through comfortable lingerie made from materials safe for the most intimate parts of your body. Micki brings expertise in circularity, materials impact, and creative problem solving to the intersection of fashion and climate. Let's be real, everybody. She creates sustainable panties. They look good, they feel good, and you can bury them. This is going to be an incredible
Micki, I am so
conversation. Let's
excited to have
do
you as a featured
this.
guest on the Big Talk podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
For those of you who are listening, we're going to get into it with Micki, but I want to first start by saying I love you. We have known each other for many, many years. We danced together. You were one of my incredible dancers in my many, many shows and performances that I choreographed, and being able to choreograph on you and have you inspire that kind of expression was one of the most dreamy times of my life.
Oh my God, you're gonna make me cry. Um, I think it's no secret too. Like I've been a major fan of yours since the day we met. So, like, I, you've always, I think, in some ways, been a bit of my spirit animal. So,
Oh,
yeah.
thank you. Thank you. So, you are a former dancer and you are now a rock star entrepreneur. Before we get into Petal and Ash and what circularity and being a sustainability practitioner actually mean, I would love for you to take our listeners back as far as you want and kind of connect the dots from your backstory to now with me here today.
Yeah. So dance was always it for me from the time I can remember. I started, forgoing summer camps for ballet school. By the time I was 9 years old, I moved away from home when I was 13 to study ballet at a professional program, year-round program. And by 18, I was dancing with my first company. So I started my career in ballet companies, moved into contemporary dance companies, and then from there, sort of into theatrical work and straddled the line between kind of all of those. Um, Probably most notably, I was on tour with Phantom of the Opera for about 6 years, so traveled North America doing that. Did a whole bunch of other stuff as well, but that's probably just the one with like the most household name recognition. And while I was on tour, I kind of, I wasn't, I think it was like a little bit of boredom, but also a little bit of like, okay, what comes next? And so I started to think about, what I might want my life to look like after theater and dance, because as you know, you can only physically be a dancer to a certain level for so long. So I decided to get my undergrad. And I did that through a very specific program that catered towards dancers who put their education on hold for their professional careers. Didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do with it or what I would want to specialize in, but I thought, hey, you know what? I don't even have an undergrad, so like let me get that and we'll just lay the groundwork. And then I kind of fast forwarding ahead again, went into the pandemic with a hip injury, and with our, as you know, that industry was totally dark. And so I also used my time diving into hobbies and research and all of this stuff and started going down these rabbit holes. I had found a hobby for myself pre-pandemic of working with natural dyes on textiles and had this sort of like free thought to use some silks that I had dyed and sew them into a bra. And so I used a lot of time during the pandemic starting to research materials and the intimate apparel industry and the apparel industry and started to learn a ton of stuff. um, whether that had to do specifically with the apparel industry or sustainability, environmental impact, all of these things. And I had started to kind of craft this idea for what is now the brand I'm working to build. As we were kind of coming out of the pandemic, I got another theater gig, which was great and exciting. And as things happen in the theater, it all crashed and burned very dramatically. And I woke up the next morning and I was kind of like, you know what? I'm good. I love this space, but I'm ready. I feel really ready to move on now. So I decided to go to grad school.
Let me back you
Uh,
up for 1 second,
yeah, yeah.
Micki, because in this process, you reminded me at some point in our relationship, I bought a pair of sneakers from you
You did.
that
You
you
did.
made, that you
Yes.
had dyed. And so this love of textiles and dye was, part of who you were earlier on as well.
Yeah, yeah. I've always kind of I feel like I have cycled through different crafts and interests, and a lot of them, well, predominantly, yeah, have been textile based actually. So yeah, that was the time period where on a fluke I used a technique that's traditionally used with paper, and decided to try it with a pair of shoes and a pair of Converse. It turned out really cool. And so it was, yeah, did that for a while. Um,
All right.
yeah,
Then cut to us having brunch
yeah,
on
yeah,
Ninth Avenue. And I think you had just applied to Columbia.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was a beautiful spring day. I remember that lunch. Yeah, so I got into grad school at Columbia, and I went part-time and completed a program in sustainability management. So I'm about a year out from that program. During that time, I also received a few design certificates from Fashion Institute of Technology. So I really wanted to understand the space I was coming into from both a macro and a micro perspective. That space being sustainability as a whole, and then, from a micro perspective, the apparel industry. Um, yeah. And so today I work as a sustainability advisor. I was really lucky to kind of fall backwards into a job upon completion of my master's. So I work with small to medium sized companies mostly. We have one large company in our portfolio, and we support them with their sustainability initiatives. So that's what I do by day. And then by night, I'm working to, and sometimes early mornings and weekends, start my own brand.
Well, I'm excited to hear more about your own brand. And I'm so grateful. I think the listeners are also grateful that you're in the field of sustainability because we, as business owners, need help. And we need help understanding it from your point of view, the expert in sustainability. And so it's great that to know that there are companies who hire people like you who are doing this. And I also want to just put this out there. If you're available to speak on sustainability and you're listening, you know how to get in touch with Micki because we're going to put all of her contact information in the show notes. And I'm sure that she would be available to speak to your organizations about what this means in terms of sustainability for your company. And just to be clear, she gets paid to speak. So if you're going to bring her in, it means you have to pay her. Okay, let's talk about Petal and Ash. Tell us everything.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's been a really long journey for me. Like I said, the seed of an idea for this started years ago at this point. And it's taken a long time to get to where we are right now. We're innovating. We're basically creating a product that doesn't really exist yet, or in a way that it doesn't exist yet. So it's been an exciting and long journey. But basically, Petal and Ash is a lingerie brand for women who crave comfort, beauty, and better materials. And we're designing pieces that are made to move with your body, to feel soft on your skin, and to relieve the quiet discomfort that you didn't know you were living with. Um, and so we are currently in development. And our peak product will be that we're coming to market with will be a bra and panty set. Um, we do have a very cool material that we're hoping to come to market with that is antimicrobial. But I don't want to say what it is in case we do have to pivot. As probably you and most of your listeners know, like it's a wild time to be developing a business right now from a macroeconomic perspective. So we're kind of trying to be very nimble on our feet as we prepare to come to market. But there's really a core belief that what you're putting on the most intimate parts of your body should be safe for your body and safe for the planet. So we're also exploring working with natural dyes so that they're not toxic chemicals in these garments. And that also from a life cycle perspective, when you've used and worn out your garments, you'll be able to cut them up and put them in your backyard or in your compost bin and they'll safely return to nature.
That is so incredible. That's so, so incredible. Can you explain what quiet discomfort that we don't even know we're living with means? I need to know what I'm living with.
Yeah, so I think that I've talked to, we've conducted interviews with women, and if you sort of take a lot of responses and mush them together and kind of then see what that through line is that comes out, there's a lot of like tiny little complaints about undergarments. So whether it's something itches or scratches or it's too tight, um, and so in trying to look at that, zoom out and look at that, it was like, well, what can we do to try to fix that and solve that problem? So that's sort of the quiet discomfort. It's like things that you put up with that don't really ruin your day. But like if they weren't there, you would probably go through your day feeling like that much better. We basically want to be like of your entire panty drawer, what you want to pull out.
Absolutely. Got it. Yes, I know bra straps are a constant thing, right? Falling
Yeah, yeah.
off, too tight, whatever, all
Yes,
those
yes.
things. So,
Yeah.
what I'd love to know, this is amazing. And because I know you, I want to make sure that I am not making assumptions about your product, but I'm asking you questions that our audience and our listeners can get insights into. I've seen the product, I've seen you in the product, not at your home, but in a proper marketing photo. And it's gorgeous. They're
Thank
gorgeous.
you.
And how did being a dancer support you as being an entrepreneur in this way? And what was your attraction to this kind of apparel? Because lingerie is a specific kind of apparel.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that coming from the dance space where we're constantly putting our bodies in front of other people and we're allowing other people to sort of put worth upon our bodies, can be a really difficult space to navigate. Um, and I think uh, to this day, I don't really know why undergarments, why not something else that made me feel better. But there was something for me that felt very powerful about putting on undergarments. I think because it was a way that allowed me to look at my body and just me in front of a mirror and have that exchange with myself and feel really beautiful despite
Mm,
what any external force was saying about my body. So I think that that's kind of at the core of like my attachment to undergarments and why I really wanted to innovate in this space. Um, when I first took this idea to my mom, who a long time ago worked in fashion, not in intimate apparel, but in women's wear, but she was like, of all the categories, that's the hardest. Like, don't do that. Do some like make little cap shorts or something. Like that's easy. And I was like, whatever. Um, it is the hardest category. I mean, designing a bra is basically like designing architecture.
yeah.
There's so much structural knowledge you need to gain and understand in order to address that. Um, I just forgot your other question.
The desire to create intimate apparel makes sense because
Yeah,
it made you feel powerful.
Yeah.
And how did being a dancer support you as an
Yes.
entrepreneur?
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, yeah, again, you know this just as well. I think that like when you have to exist in that world, you have to be so strong in your desire to succeed, and it's just like you persevere in the face of 1,000 no's. And so there's like a little bit of insanity there, right? 'Cause you're like, if so many people are always telling you no, can you really do this? Are you really good enough? But I think there's that like innate understanding that you can and you will, and then you get those yeses along the journey, and you get that, confirmation that you're in the right place. And I think that like entrepreneurship is very similar, and that you're a little bit insane, and you're gonna do it anyways, and you're gonna persevere. Um, I think that like for me, the biggest difference is the when you're in dance and theater, you're still in community. And when you're an entrepreneur, you can find and make community, but it's a very singular journey. And that I find to be more difficult. But I do think that the dance background really helps to persevere as an entrepreneur.
I agree completely. We have grit, we have discipline, we have tenacity, and we have a high risk tolerance.
Yes. 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 All of the
When you
above.
Absolutely, when you think about the men and women, the people of any gender who want to wear your apparel, how do you want them to not only feel in the garment, but also how long do they last
Hmm.
so that they can return them back to their backyard garden?
Hmm. Yeah. I want them to feel empowered. I want them to feel good in their body. I think that I don't just think I know because I've experienced it, and I've occasionally spoken to other people who have been vulnerable enough to share this with me as well. But that when you put something on your body, it's not a matter of whether or not anyone else sees it. But if you put that initial layer on your body and you feel empowered to the point where like you walk a little taller, you're a little more confident through your day, like there's power in that. And I truly believe in that. And so that's something that I hope to deliver to our wearers. Um,
And that's why I said men as well, because when the men are buying these garments for their partners, that is them also empowering them.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, and then you bring up another really interesting point, and this is something that I'm still sort of trying to navigate how to communicate, which is this life cycle aspect of the garment. Sometimes when I talk about it being compostable or biodegradable, people are like, "Oh my God, is it gonna like disintegrate if it rains?" And I'm wearing it one day, and even people who are in the sustainability space. And so I find that really interesting that we don't sort of as a whole understand what that is and what that means. And so the way, at least right now, I like to explain it as like a cotton t-shirt is inherently biodegradable or compostable. It's the process or the chemicals and additives and finishers that or the dyes that get added in during its manufacturing process that render it not compostable or not biodegradable. So any natural fiber has that capacity. Any synthetic fiber is not, right? So, polyesters and nylons and all that stuff, like those cannot return to the earth. But any natural fiber inherently can. And so it's just then it becomes a question of what kind of processes does or doesn't it go through to get to the end product. And so that for us has been, I think we've had a much longer runway in development and trying to understand what that means and how to still create a durable garment. So ultimately, the garment will last as long as a garment will last, whatever that means for you and however hard or soft you are on what you wear. Um, And so to be biodegradable or compostable, it needs to be in the correct environment to enable that to happen.
That's amazing because you can't go to a thrift store and wear other people's underwear. Like,
Exactly.
the,
Exactly.
so when it's
Yes.
time to retire your panties,
Yeah,
now we
yeah, yeah,
know that
yeah, yeah,
they can
yeah.
go back into the earth, and that's what we want. So that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And then the only other thing I would follow up to that is like, a garment that even like a 100% cotton t-shirt might have poly cotton thread in it. So I just want your listeners to know, like, just because I went out there and said natural fibers are compostable, you have to be really mindful of all the components that go into the garment and what that means. So don't just like go cutting everything up yet and throw it in. But I do think it's really interesting to consider.
That's amazing. And this is such a beautiful part of your brand story.
Thank you.
Yeah, amazing. When do you plan to go to market with this first set?
That is the question of the hour. It keeps getting pushed back if I'm being really transparent. I think that like I mentioned briefly earlier, the macroeconomic factors at play are really affecting us. We would love to make a product in America, but none of these materials are made in America, and I don't think there's any anticipation that they will be anytime soon. So we're manufacturing in Europe, and so that also means tariffs for us. And so we're trying to figure out how to navigate that. Do we need to pivot to other things or other places? And so that's kind of been slowing us down a bit. And then there's just other things like, like I mentioned, it's development for us has been a long runway. So that's a long-winded way to say that originally the hope was in the fall. I don't think there's a world where we launch in the fall. I think if anything, it will be. I think in fact, when you and I scheduled this talk, I was like, oh, it'll be so great because we'll be gearing up to launch. And I still am happy to talk to you today. I didn't want to push this off, but I think that it will probably be closer to like next spring.
Well, in the meantime, our listeners can follow you on Instagram,
Yeah.
and we'll put all of those links in the show notes. And are you looking for support in terms of investors or models for a marketing campaign, or how else
Yeah.
can we support you prior to
Yeah,
launch?
yeah, all of the above. Yeah, as we get closer to launch, we'll be doing some pre-launch marketing campaigns. So to your point, yes, models, absolutely. Investment is something that to this point I've been working hard not to take. But I think there will become a point very soon in time where that will become a real conversation. And so finding an investor who's also really excited by this product and by this concept and feels excited to be a part of it will in that alignment will be really important for us. Um, General opportunities to talk about what we're doing is always I'm always grateful for that. So speaking opportunities, moderating panel opportunities, all of that is great.
Awesome. That's so fantastic. And again, we'll put all of Micki's information in the show notes so that you can get in touch with her and be a part of this incredible movement of Petal and Ash. Micki, are you ready for some fast talk?
I am.
What's your favorite book?
Yeah, it's a toss up between The Night Circus and People of the Book.
Amazing. Who's your favorite speaker and why?
Is it a cop out if I say you? I'm just always so inspired by you. Like
Oh
you're
my gosh.
like I said, you're my spirit animal.
I received that. Thank you. Thank you. How do you memorize? And as a dancer, we have to memorize all that choreography. It's the same thing for me as a speaker. What's your plan
Yeah.
for memorizing?
Yeah. When it comes to speaking, it's repetition without intonation.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart. What do you do the day before you speak?
I review my notes. I always think I over prepare. There's a lot of times where it all goes out the window, but I feel like that over preparedness roots me. So it's just going over my notes, making any last minute changes. Yeah.
Great. Being a dancer really has set us up for success, hasn't it? Like we're so
Yes.
disciplined. I know.
Yeah. 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 Oh, and hydrating.
Great. Great. What
Yes.
podcast are you currently obsessed with?
Green behavior. It's about the psychology behind consumerism, specifically as it relates to sustainable fashion.
Amazing. You are such an influential voice. You're such an inspiration. I'm so grateful to call you a friend and a fellow entrepreneur. Thank you for
Thank
being a
you.
featured guest today. Where can our listeners get in touch with you, Micki?
Yeah, they can follow us on Instagram at Petal and Ash, or I also have a personal Substack that is basically about the professional dancer turned entrepreneur's journey. So that is the sustainable undress. Um, yeah, you can also go to our website, petalandash.com. And if you're interested in our product, you can sign up to know when we do launch.
Amazing. Again, Micki Weiner, Petal and Ash, we are going to be following you, and I will be cheering you on for sure and buying my first set of panties and bras when that launches.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for listening today. I appreciate your time. I know how precious it is, and spending time with us means so much. Remember, everybody, your voice matters. Big love.